Today, we're putting the North Carolina business license process under the microscope. We're going to treat it just like a product review. We'll unbox it, break down the specs, see how it performs, and then give you our final verdict.
So, here's the game plan. First, we'll unbox this whole licensing system to see what you're actually dealing with. Then, we'll dig into the core specs and the step-by-step process. After that, it's performance test time. We're talking real-world costs and timelines. We'll give you the good and the bad, and finally, we'll deliver our final verdict.
This video contains affiliate links. Before we dive into the exact steps to launch your company in the Tar Heel State, let's talk about the foundation. You absolutely cannot run a legal, compliant business in North Carolina if you drop the ball on your licensing. Most people assume they just need to register their LLC with the Secretary of State, and they are good to go. And that is exactly why they get hit with massive fines or have their operations shut down completely. Here is the catch with North Carolina. The state actually does not issue a single, general statewide business license. Instead, licensing is a confusing maze handled at the state, county, and local municipal levels, depending on your exact industry and physical location. Trying to navigate that web of local government requirements yourself is a massive headache. Your business needs to be 100% compliant before you make your first dollar. That's where Busy comes in. Busy completely removes the guesswork with their business license research package. They do all the heavy lifting for you by identifying the exact federal, state, county, and municipal licenses required for your specific North Carolina address and business type. They hand you a customized package with the exact applications, filing instructions, and fee requirements, giving you everything you need to get fully licensed without spending hours deciphering local tax codes. This is non-negotiable if you want to stay compliant and keep your doors open safely. Link in the description. Use my link to get your North Carolina business licenses figured out through Busy today, and you'll also unlock some exclusive perks and discounts. Get your compliance handled first. Okay, let's dive right in with the unboxing. When you first start looking into getting a business license in North Carolina, what's the very first thing you're going to find?
Well, here it is, the single most important thing you need to know right up front. North Carolina does not have a single one-size-fits-all business license. This is not a simple plug-and-play solution, not even close.
So what does that actually mean in practice? It means you're not just buying one product. You're dealing with a multi-level system. Getting compliant isn't about finding one master key. It's about collecting a whole bunch of different keys from federal, state, and even your local city and county governments. And it all depends on exactly what your business does and where you're doing it.
So this system is really built from three separate parts. You've got to investigate what you need at the federal level, then the state level, and finally the local level, which, means checking with both your city and your county. And each one of these pieces operates independently.
Okay, now that we have a feel for the setup, let's break down the core specs. What are the key features here, and what's the actual process you have to follow? Generally, it boils down to these four main steps. First, you have to officially form your business. Become an LLC or a corporation. Second, you get your tax IDs, like a federal EIN. Third, and this is the big one, you have to figure out all the specific individual licenses you need across all those levels. And finally, you gather all the paperwork and start applying to each separate agency. Now, when we say you have to figure out your licenses, just how complicated is that? Well, get this. At the state level alone, North Carolina has almost 950 different occupational and regulatory licenses. That's a huge list to sort through. To avoid getting totally overwhelmed, you'll want to focus your research on three main categories. First, do you need a state, professional, or occupational license? Second, is your entire industry regulated in a specific way? And third, does your city or county require a local privilege license, which is basically just a fee you pay for the privilege of doing business there? And to give you a concrete idea of what a professional license is, we're talking about jobs like engineers, doctors, architects, and lawyers. But it also includes real estate professionals and even cosmetologists. If you're in one of these fields, you're going to be dealing with a specific state board that has its own unique set of fees, rules, and requirements.
Now for the part of the review everyone really cares about, the performance test. Let's benchmark the real-world costs and the actual time it takes to get through this thing. So let's get right to it. How much money and how much time is this really going to set you back? Well, a local privilege license might be pretty cheap and fast, maybe just a few business days.
But a state professional license, now you're looking at 2 to 6 weeks. And the cost variation is just huge. From the basic $125 to form an LLC, all the way up to over $1,000 for something specialized like a collection agency license.
And to really see how wide that price range is, just look at these numbers. An architectural firm license might be only $75. A collection agency, like we said, over $1,000. But an appraisal management company, that'll cost you $3,500. The costs are completely all over the map depending on your industry.
And your time investment is just as varied. Local licenses, usually the quickest part. State licenses are going to take a moderate amount of time, think weeks. But the real wild card here is zoning and other special permits. The timeline for those is totally variable and can tack on some serious delays if you're not prepared.
Okay, we've covered the specs and the performance, so it's time for a balanced look at the pros and cons. What's the good and what's the bad about this approach to licensing?
It really all comes down to this one trade-off. The good news is that the system is incredibly flexible. You only apply for and pay for the exact licenses your specific business needs. There's no waste. The bad news? That flexibility creates a ton of complexity. The burden is entirely on you, the business owner, to do all the research and figure out every single rule at the federal, state, and local levels.
And the stakes for getting that research wrong are incredibly high. The official language on this is crystal clear. If you operate without the right licenses, you could be facing fines, extra fees, or they could suspend your business or even shut you down completely.
So, after putting it all through the ringer, where do we land? It's time for our final verdict and the most important takeaway.
Here's our final assessment. The North Carolina licensing system is definitely powerful and flexible, but, and this is a big but, it is absolutely not user-friendly. It's like a high-performance engine that comes with a very thick, very complicated instruction manual you have to read from cover to cover.
If there's just one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this: the NC system isn't plug and play. Your success hinges completely on your own research at the local, professional, and state levels. You have to be the one to connect all the dots.
So what should you do right now? Here's your action plan. First, search the state's official database. It's called NCBOLD. Second, and this is so important, pick up the phone and actually call your specific city and county clerk's offices. And third, take advantage of the free help available and call the EDP&C's small business advisors for guidance.
And that brings us to our final question for you. The state and federal rules can be complex, but it's the local stuff that often catches people by surprise. So, have you checked your specific city and county requirements yet? Because that's where the real work truly begins.